everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back. I'm Jeannie and I am super excited for today's video because I have a lot of new goodies from iGel Beauty. I feel like it's been a while since they've had a new release besides like the new Hybrid Pro lamp. I think it was the 3.0, but I've got new goodies and I am super excited to try them out. So the most exciting thing is they released the new Pro X Mini. So this is a new mini flash curing lamp. Sorry about the glare from my ring light, but we're going to open this up. I'm going to do first impressions. Of course, we're going to use this as well. But in addition to this, they also released new full coverage tips. So these are the Pro X soft gel nail tips. So they're a little bit different to their Pro gel tips. So I'll kind of do like a comparison of them, but I have a couple of the new shapes and sizes. There are more than this, but these are the ones that I'm going to be showing you in today's video. So before I'll actually apply the tips, I'll decide like what I'm going to do. But before I get into that, I do kind of want to review the tips with you, do a comparison between the Pro Gel tips and then the soft gel tips so you can kind of see what the difference is. So if you're kind of eyeing them, you know like which one you want to buy. So I want to do like a comparison of that. These will be my first impressions. And then the Pro X Mini, I haven't even opened it yet, so we'll definitely get a first impressions on that. I will disclose that these were sent to me as PR and iGel Beauty was kind enough to sponsor this video. However, you will get my honest opinion. So I will share with you everything, my thoughts, opinions, feelings on all these new products. But I am super, super excited to try everything out. As always, I'll try to leave chapters. So if you just want to see like the unboxing and review, you can see that. Or if you want to see just the application of the tips using the Pro X, you can kind of skip around to whatever you prefer. Of course, I welcome you to stay and watch the whole thing, but I know time is limited. So anytime you want to spend here and watch, I really appreciate it. But with all that said, let's go ahead and jump into this. Okay, so I went ahead and put the lamp to the side because we're going to focus on the tips first. And what I want to start with is the medium medium round tips, because this is a new shape for iGel Beauty. They've always had square, coffin, almond, and stiletto, but they haven't had a round shape. And I know a lot of people really love the round shape. So I wanted to start with this because this is a new shape. So the new Pro X soft gel tips. I don't think they have any shorts. I think they start at medium and long, but these are really exciting. So let me at least start by showing you the tip. This box is really nice, by the way. There are, I'm getting overexcited. There are 600 pieces in this box. There's 14 sizes. And this is the most exciting thing. Let me open the box first, and then I'll tell you what the exciting thing about this is. So they have the sizes. Hopefully you can see it on the lid. And they now, oh, you can't see because of glare. They now have half sizes. How exciting is that? So there's now the addition of the 00 because they used to only start with the 0. So 00 for the larger thumbs. And then now they have half sizes. So they have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 8, and 9. So this is really exciting to see the expansion of sizes. And I'll do a comparison once I get into the other shapes, but since oval's a new shape for iGel, I don't have anything to compare it to, so that's why I wanted to start here. But I did want to say that there's now a 00 size as well as half sizes. So this will fit more nail beds, which is super exciting. So anyway, that aside, let's go ahead and take a look at the 00, since that is the new shape. So off the bat, now at the I'm trying to, so at the cuticle area, you can now see the size and it says Pro X. So the Pro Gel tips, it has the size number at the bottom, but now at the cuticle area, It has the size and then the Pro X, so you know that it's the Pro X tips. So I kind of like that because at the free edge, if you're doing like a clear or sheer design, sometimes you can see the number, so you have to put top coat on the underside to hide that number. But here, when you're applying your tip, it's just going to automatically be hidden with the gel that you use to adhere it. So less work there. And then this is the 00. So you can see normally for my thumb, depending on the shape, normally I'll wear a size 2 for my thumb. So this is the 00. So if I put it up to my thumb, you can see, let me keep using my tweezers. You can see here, this is where my nail bed stops. So there's this much overhang. So it's pretty large, size 00. So if you have larger thumbs, this may be a really good option. It's nice that they have the 00. So here's what the round shape looks like. Personally, I'm not a fan of round, but I wanted to see what these looked like. And I don't know, I was like, maybe they'd grow on me, but I did want to show them to you because it's new. And I know a lot of people do the round shape. And I think it looks beautiful on so many people. Personally, for me, I'm not sure, but if you like round shape, it is now an option, which is super exciting. So this is the 00. And also, I should mention, these are all natural, meaning they aren't like, what's it called? They don't have a strong C curve. So these are more of a natural fit. So let me actually find the size that'll fit me. Let me see if the 1 will fit me or if I need a 2. So this is the size 1, which is still a little bit large, a little bit overhang there, but that may be what I need. Let me try the 2 first because I want to show you the apex on a size that actually fits me. Yep, I think the 2 is perfect. So this actually, even though, hopefully you can see that, even though it says natural, I feel like there's still a pretty, I still feel like there's still a pretty large gap between my natural nail and the apex of the tip. However, I do have naturally flatter nails anyway, but I don't know. I don't feel like these are super flat for natural. Like natural, I would expect to be flatter, but I do see, I wish you could see, hopefully you can see that. You see that gap? So just keep that in mind as well. But if you use a thick enough gel to apply your tips, that should fill in that gap. So it shouldn't be much effort because you don't want to force your tip down. So that's what that looks like. And then let me do the 00 since that's not what I use. So as far as construction, ooh, you know, these say soft gel tips, but they're pretty sturdy. That took a lot of effort to try to bend. Wow. Okay, so I feel like I'll do the comparison once I get to the other shapes, but I do feel like these are a little bit thicker than the Pro Gel tips because normally it doesn't take me that much effort to bend them. So you can see that white line. And then when I flatten it out, that white line disappears. And I think they say that's how you can tell that they're gel tips versus plastic. I mean, gel's plastic anyway, but I did want to call that out. So these are really sturdy tips. Like I feel like you could probably wear these by themselves and they wouldn't bend on you. Like these are pretty thick. And then as far as they are really thin at the cuticle area. And then, yes, they're definitely, it's hard to see in video, but they're definitely thicker at the free edge so that, you know, you do want more strength, more thickness at the free edge. So they're nice and thin at the cuticle area, and then they get thicker at the free edge to kind of reinforce that strength. So that's really good to see. I can't believe, wow. Honestly, because they said soft gel, I mean, I get it's just material, but I think like you hear soft in your head, you think they're going to be thinner and a little more flimsy. But these are really sturdy. I wasn't expecting that. That's really good to see. So these are the oval. I still have to decide. I don't know if I'm brave enough to wear the oval or not. Let me see. This is, I'm going to see what these other sizes look like. This is the 6.5, which is actually really perfect. I like that half size. It's really good for my index finger. See, I just don't know how I feel about that shape on me. I don't know. We'll see. But I will say the cuticle area, it has like a nice, that's better. It has like a nice rounding to it. So if I were to wear these, you see how it just fits in snugly, like perfect fit at that cuticle area. That's nice. I don't think I'd have to do any shaping at the cuticle area because it's nice and rounded. But I still feel like there is a high apex for these. But I know like the longer shape you go, the even natural, like the more apex you have to like reinforce strength. So maybe that's just because of the length of it. But I think that's all I wanted to say about these. So these are the natural round, in case you're curious about those. But I really want to get into the comparisons. So these are the natural stiletto medium. Same thing, 600 pieces, 14 sizes. Let me move this one out of the way. Sorry, don't mind the vacuum. I've got the Roombas going. So same thing, size 00 to size 9 is the smallest. Let's look at the 00 first. They're all stuck together. Move that to the side. So this is the size 00. So here's what it looks like, length and all. And then if I compare it to, oh, you know what? This 00 is a lot less wide than the oval. Let me pull out the oval again. So we've got the oval and the stiletto. So you can see the stiletto is going to be a little bit longer, and that's just because of the pointy shape of it. But as far as that's interesting, like if I compare the two, and hopefully you can see this, if I compare the two in width, they're actually pretty similar. And I would actually say if I do like one side curve to the other, I'd say the stiletto is just a tad more square at the cuticle area, but they're the same width. But if you do the oval, you see all this, so it's fit flush to this side. You see all this overhang of excess tip for the oval. But for the almond, I mean, the stiletto, if I do it flush to this side and then move to the other side, there's less overhang. But if you compare the two, it must be due to the shape. I'm a little baffled by this. Am I being dense? Someone tell me, am I being dense? Because if I compare the two, they're the same width, but I get more overhang. It must just be due to the tapering. I don't know. Regardless, that's something to note as well. So I feel like the 00 on the stiletto is not as large, but it is. I don't know. Take that for what it is, make sense of it, not, I don't know. Anyway, regardless, here's the 00 of the Stiletto. I feel like these have less of an apex than these. I had to stop to bring groceries in, so let me try to remember where I stopped. So we did the comparison of the 00 on the thumb. So let me see if the 6.5 also fits well on me for the stilettos. So I feel like, and obviously everyone's cuticle line is going to be different, but I feel like it's not as snug of a fit at the cuticle area. So there's, I don't know if you can see that little bit of gap where it just needs a little bit of tapering in on the sides in order to fit my cuticle line more snugly, but 6.5 is a good fit. And there is actually a large gap because I have flatter nail beds in the apex area that I'll need to fill with my gel if I apply these. And then as far as, I'm sure like the strength, let me go back to the 00 because I don't use that shape. So for nail tips for the sizes that I don't wear, I actually use it for like swatching and nail art. So if I want to test out nail art before I actually do a set, I like to use the tips that I don't use so they don't get wasted. So this is back to the 00. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you could tell the effort it's taking to bend these. These are strong. Wow. Okay. So the same thing though, I can see it's really thin at the cuticle area and then it's thicker at the free edge, which is what you want. You want it thicker at the free edge, but you do want it thin at the cuticle area because you want it to sit flush and look a little more natural at your cuticle area. So let me compare. These are the medium stilettos. They say almond, but they were mislabeled. So these are the Pro Gel tips, and then we've got the Pro X, which are the soft gel. So soft gel, plastic, either way, they're all plastic. But regardless, these are the two. So for the Pro Gel tips, you have size 0 to size 10. So you don't have the 00, you don't have the half sizes. So these are 500 pieces, 10 sizes, 600 pieces, 14 sizes. So already there's a difference in that. You get 100 more pieces, more sizes, which makes sense. And then, so I'm going to do apples for apples. So I'm going to actually, you know what? Let me show you the difference between the 0 and the 00. So this is the size 0, which is the largest size for the Pro Gel tips. Right hand, remember. Left hand is the 00 for the Pro X. So as far as length, same length, but as far as size, you know what? The 00 in the Pro X are the same size as the 0 in the Pro Gel. That's interesting. And you know what? I just had a revelation. I feel like this has less overhang on me, on my thumb, than the oval because this is more curved. This has more curve than the oval. And I think that's why there's less overhang because it's more like curved rather than flat. So the oval overhangs on me more because it's flatter, whereas it's the same width, but with more of a curve, it's going to seem, if that makes sense. But regardless, it looks like the 00 Pro X is the same width as the Pro Gel 0. But the, oh, I do that all the time where I drop the wrong tip in the wrong slot. Well, I'll find it because it's going to stick out like a sore thumb being whatever. I'll find it. The Pro Gel, this is the Pro Gel. It's a lot flatter, which is what I honestly thought when I saw natural. It's a lot flatter than the Pro X. So because it's flatter, this is what I expect. That's you see like more of that overhang equivalent to what I saw in the oval. So difference in apex between the 00 in the Pro X versus, oh my goodness, I'm going to struggle with these tips all day. I'm going to try to show you, hopefully, the difference. I don't know if my hand is the best. I don't know if this notebook will work either, but we're going to try it. So this is the Pro X. This is the Pro Gel, so the new one. And then hopefully you can see that the Pro X has a much higher apex than the Pro Gel. So I just want to make sure, you know, it's not good, bad, anything. It just depends on your nail shape, your preference. But I just want to make sure that I'm calling out the differences so you can make an informed decision on which tips you prefer. But there is definitely, I'm trying to do this without them sliding off. There is more of an apex. I mean, not huge, but there is more of an apex on the Pro X, as well as the Pro Gel has a little bit of, it's not completely flat down here on the side. It's not an eagle claw by any means, but it does have a little bit of a curve up here, whereas this one's more flat. So hopefully that helps to see the comparison. So now I'm curious on the 0 Pro X versus the 0 Pro Gel. So yeah, the 0, this is going to be my day. I don't know where it went. Now it's mixed in to my... I wish you could tell me where you saw it fly. Maybe I have to replay that video. Anyway, the 0 Pro Gel is a little bit larger than the 0 Pro X, which would I expect because it looks the same as the 00 Pro X. So that's something to keep in mind as well when you're looking at shapes. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say is for the Stiletto, medium Stiletto Pro Gel, the smallest size is the size 9. Is that right? Yep, the size 9. 10 slot is empty. It's just 0 to 9. So the size 9 in the Pro Gel tips a little bit too small. So let's compare the smallest sizes to the size 9 in the Pro X. Let me keep the same hands. So Pro Gel tips, Pro X, size 9. As far as sizes, I've got the Pro Gel on top. It looks like the Pro X is a little bit larger, yep, than the Pro Gel. So the Pro X, the 9 fits me perfectly on my pinky, whereas the Pro Gel, it's a little bit too small. There's a little bit of gap. Let me see if I can show you. It's so hard. There's that little bit of gap right there where you can see my natural nail. So that's something to note as well. Of the Pro X smallest size 9, is a little bit larger than the Pro Gel tips. So there's that for the medium stilettos. I'm hoping you're finding this helpful. Please let me know down below in the comments if you liked seeing this comparison, if you'd rather me just not compare, because this is definitely something new, but I'm excited that I was able to compare. But the last thing, which you know this is my ride or die size, is, or shape, is the almond. So these are the natural almond. So Pro X, natural almond medium, 600 pieces, 14 sizes. Same thing, size 00 to size 9. Looking at the 00. large, really, really large. So you can see all that extra tip. So this may be a really good one for you if you have wider nail beds. It almost, I feel like it's more of like a rounded, it may just be because of the size, more of a rounded almond. I like more of a tapered, pointier almond, but not stiletto. But same construction. So thinner at the cuticle area, thicker at the free edge. Tough. These tips are tough. So there's that. Let me see. So this is the size 1. I want to see how that fits. There's a little bit of overhang, so it's a little bit too large. Although, because I have longer nail beds on my thumb, I run into this issue a lot. So the 2 is going to be too small. So that in that case, you size up and then you do a little bit of filing for the shape. And then for the pinky, size 9. A little bit too small. Interesting. Usually I'm always the smallest size. Okay. Because you saw in the stiletto, the size 9 was perfect, but it's too small in the short almond. So you can't, like, it's not one size fits all. Depending on the shape, you may have different sizes. So keep that in mind of you're not always the same size in all the shapes. It's going to be different. So for the medium almond, definitely the size 8 is perfect. And then let's do 6.5. 6.5 is perfect. And then when we talk about cuticle area for the medium almond, yep, slides in nicely. Perfect snug fit at the cuticle area, so I won't have to do any work there. So there's that. And then let's do a comparison. So you know I love my medium almond pro gel tips. These are like my ride or die. So I'm really curious to see if these will replace it or if I'm going to continue with my pro gel tips. So let's see. Although I will say, because if I'm dipping on top of tips, I want as thin tips as possible because I don't want bulk. So maybe the Pro Gel is better just because of the thickness. It's thinner than the Pro X, but I don't know. Let's see. So we'll do the same thing. So I'm going to do the 00 in the Pro X. So left hand Pro X. And then the 0 in the Pro Gel. You see the difference in the shape? Like this is more tapered, which I prefer this shape. But if I stack them Pro Gel on top, wow, this is, I'm like fascinated. So I'm sorry I'm geeking out on you. I know I need to just kind of chill, but Pro Gel on top, look at that difference between the 00. So this is the Pro X on the bottom, which is the 00 is a lot larger than the 0 in the Pro Gel, which is interesting because the Stiletto, you didn't see this difference. Okay, so let me then compare the 0 of the Pro Gel to the 0 of the Pro X, because you would think then they would be the same. Yeah, you know what? I really prefer the shape of the Pro Gel because see how this is more rounded than this one? So this is my preferred almond, but still comparing. Yeah, it looks like the Pro X, which is on the bottom. Is that any better? Let me line them up. Is just a hair larger than the Pro Gel, but not by much, just a hair larger. So there's that. And then this is 0. The interesting thing is for the only thing my complaint about the Pro Gel tips, because I have smaller pinkies, is the size 9 is the smallest. and it's like way, way too large for my pinky, if you can see that overhang. So I always have to shape down, size down the pinky because it's way too large and this is the smallest size. However, for the Pro X, which is on my left hand, this is the size 9. And it's actually a little too small for my pinky. So, I mean, the great thing about these Pro X's is I can wear the size 8 and it's going to fit my pinky perfectly. I don't have to do any filing down to get it to fit. So there's a large difference. And I think that's what the great thing about having more variety of sizes. There is a, so let me put the Pro Gel on top again. No, you know what? I'm going to put it on the bottom this time because the Pro X is smaller. So this time, huge difference. Pro X size 9 is on top. Pro Gel is on bottom. Look at that size difference between the two. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I do that. This does have the shape I want. It's just the thumb sizes where I want them to be a little more almond than they are. Like, because I normally wear the 2 in the Pro Gel tips because they fit my thumb perfectly. So I'm going to compare it to the 2 in the Pro X. Pro X is on the left hand, Pro Gel. So can you see? Like the Pro Gel is a little more tapered and almond, and this is a little more rounded. I prefer the shape. I'm so conflicted at this point. I seriously am. So hopefully this is helpful and not just confusing you even more. But I prefer the shape of the Pro Gel. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know which I prefer yet. I mean, I guess I have to do a wear test to really determine which I prefer. But anyway, that's the comparison of the tips. Let's go ahead and get into the lamp. Okay, so now we're moving on to the lamp, which admittedly I'm probably the most excited about. Honestly, I haven't done any reading on it, so besides it being like a little flash cure lamp, I know nothing about it. So we are going to learn together. And knowing I was doing a video for this, you know what? The smart thing would have been probably to read up about it so that I could inform you, but let's just wing it because I was a little overexcited. This box is nice. It's like a really thick, strong cardboard. Let's see, how do you open this? Oh, it's magnetic. It's the little things that excite me. Look at that. Oh, that is a nice quality box. It's just a box, I know, but wow, okay. All right, so we've got the warranty card. Nothing exciting. This is the little pamphlet. Wireless LED lamp, Pro X Mini. So let's see. You get the lamp, gooseneck base station, USB-C power cord. Does that mean it's detachable because it's got a base station? Magnet. Battery power indicator. Power button is 30 seconds. Adjustable gooseneck. That's always good. I prefer the goosenecks when applying my tips. Touch sensor when attached to the gooseneck. All right, that's really good. Acetone proof treatment. I should have charged it. We'll check if it's got any charge in it. When the lamp is connected, the gooseneck base to the gooseneck base touch sensor is activated to turn on the lamp. I love a touch sensor. And then default time is 30 seconds. The light will go into sleep mode if there is no activity for 5 minutes. That's good to know. It tells you like the different charging of like if your indicator is red, yellow, or green, what that means. The power indicator will flash when charging when battery is lower than 5%. Voltage information, charging time 2.5 hours, battery life 1.5 hours. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. I had a bad tickle in my throat. I had to cough. Charging time about 2.3 hours, battery life 1.5 hours of continuous use. Oh, I like that they include wavelength. So wavelength is 400 nanometers. That's good to know because I think wavelength is more important than wattage. So I don't even know what wattage this is. So this gives you wavelength instead. So there's that. I'm glad they included that, but let's go ahead, dig into this. I'm guessing that's, no? Oh, that's probably the charging cord. Look at how nicely this is packaged. So it has that styrofoam, so it's nice and snug. I love this box. I'm gonna leave this over here. So actually it's pretty heavy base. So it's not gonna really go anywhere. It's really sturdy, really heavy. It's not too large. Look at how beautiful that is. And then, ooh, this is like a smooth, I can't think of like silicone coating on it. So it's really smooth. And you can see like, I think the big test will be longevity. Sorry, is will it keep its shape for a long time or will it eventually wear with the bending? But you can see the gooseneck of it. It's very, very flexible, which is nice. So let me put this off to the side. And then I'm trying to get it to where it's not like in the face of the camera. Okay, let's leave it at that. And then here is, oh, look at how pretty this is. Oh, look at that. Wow, that is beautiful. Oh, I guess here's the little charging port. So I guess, look at that. That is cool. Okay, so it does have some charge to it. It's red though. Okay. So here's the lamp. So if I press the power button, you can see that it's on. Turn it back off and then attach it to the gooseneck. Let me make sure you can see it attached to the gooseneck. This is hard to show in frame of the video. Oh, in frame of the video. So let me just hold it because, oh, I think it died on me. No? Where's the, oh, okay. So I'm being dumb. So when it's attached to the gooseneck is a touch sensor, but it's not just anywhere. It's the little gold rim. So you touch the gold rim, you can see the lights on, touch it, it turns off. So this little area is the touch. So if you're applying tips, I've got the tip attached. I can just gently touch it and then, oops, I touched it again, and flash cure. So that's really nice. Okay, I just want to make sure. And then this should be, oops, the charging cable. Let's see how long it is because I want a long charging cable. I don't want to be like, have to sit next to my power station because I can't reach, the power cord won't reach. It does not come with an adapter, so you will need an adapter if you want to plug it into an actual power outlet, but it's a nice long cord. I love this. It actually has a cord label because if you're like me, you have a ton of cords. So this is nice to have. Like normally I label my cords myself, but this actually comes with a label so you know what cords what. So you can plug it in to charge it and then plug it into my USB charging station. And so maybe you can see that the lights are, I keep touching that, the lights are on, meaning that it's now charging. So I'm going to let that charge. So I think that's pretty much all to show with the lamp. So now let's get to applying the tips. I just have to decide what shape I want to do. I wish you were here to tell me whether you wanted to see round, almond, or stiletto. Let me figure that out and then hop back on. I'm sure you won't be surprised, but I couldn't help myself. I'm going to go with the medium almond because almond is my shape. Once I find something I like, I just can't help it. So we're going to go ahead and size these out. We'll do prep, all that, and then we'll do application, but you have to start with sizing them out. So I've got my little palette just so I don't lose my tips, and then we're going to see what fits. So when you're sizing out your tips, you want them to fit sidewall to sidewall. So I think we determined that the 2 was too small. So because of the length of my nail bed, you can see right here, you can see a little bit of my natural nail. So the 2 is a little bit too small. So we're going to go with the size 1, which it is a little bit too large, but whenever you're in between sizes, you want to size up. You never want your tip to be too small. So I'll just do a little bit of filing, and then you know what? I probably will make these a little more almond because they're a little too rounded than I like. I mean, they're not oval by any means. However, I do like a little more point, but that's going to be my index finger and then not index thumb. And then we said for my index finger, because that's what I was thinking of, was the 6.5. Let's double check that. So sidewall, you can see it's fitting snugly at that sidewall. To sidewall, I think that is a perfect fit. And then you can see that just kind of slides right in really nicely at the cuticle area. So I think this is going to be perfect for my index finger. Great, less work there. I'm going to guess maybe 5.5 for my middle finger, maybe 5. Yep. So when you say sidewall to sidewall, you can see how that's not fitting snugly at my nail. It's kind of sitting above my nail rather than on my nail, which you'd never want to mash down your tip and apply pressure because then eventually gravity and it's going to pop off. So this is a little too small. Let's try the 5 and see if that fits. See, that fits nicely on my nail. It doesn't sit above my nail. It kind of fits on my nail, which I like. And that is perfect. Yeah. So sizing is so important. Make sure you take the time to find the right sizes. That's going to make a world of difference as far as longevity. So I feel like this one is a little too, this is size 6. It's a little too small. So uh, this is so hard to show you. So right here, I don't know if you can tell, there's a little bit of my natural nail peeking. So I'm thinking 5.5 is going to be perfect, which the half size is nice because if I went to 5, I'd have to file down. So I love that they included half sizes now. Yes, that is perfect. So sidewall to sidewall, it's fitting perfectly. And then it just fits snugly into that cuticle area. And then we said the 9 is too small, I believe. Oh, yeah. I don't know how well you can see that. You can see my natural nail on both sides. So we will go up to the 8, which is absolutely perfect. It fits sidewall to sidewall, and then at the cuticle area, it just slides right in so beautifully. Okay, so we have our tips all sized out. And then let me grab my e-file because I do want to do etching. So I always forget to etch my tips, so I want to make sure that I'm etching them, the inside, so it adheres better to my nail for longevity. So I've got my Model XS 2.0 e-file. I've had this for, what, 3 or 4 years now? Ever since it was first released. It's pretty old. I love this e-file. I use it all the time. So I'm just going to take the e-file at about 5,000 RPMs, And then anywhere where it touches your natural nail, you want to etch the inside so it adheres properly. It's really quick and easy, but it's very important that you do this if you want your tips to stay. So just to make sure, I'm just going to do a little bit of, so you can see a little bit more, but my my nail bed on my thumb is my longest, so I always struggle with tip sizing with my nail bed. So you can see even for the medium almond, there's not a lot of tip left at my free edge. So that's all you need to do is just etch the inside, rough it up where it's touching your natural nail because you want it to stick to your natural nail. Yep. So I always just like to check to make sure that I etched far enough down. I'm really surprised at the sturdiness of these tips. So if you are a gel polish wearer, I think these tips are good for you because you don't need to reinforce the strength. Oh no. Because they're already strong enough on their own. Whereas like for dip powder, I can use flimsier tips because I'm going to reinforce strength with the dip powder because it's bulkier, thicker than like a gel polish. But these I think are really good for gel polish because you already have that strength, so you don't have to worry about bending or breaking because they're strong enough on their own. Although I wear the Pro Gel tips with gel polish without any issues, but just something to keep in mind. And hopefully you can't hear my tummy rumbling. Okay, I think, yep. So that's all I have to do for the etching. And then I'm just going to take my hand file. And then for the tips, there's that little knobby bit at the end. And honestly, I'm going to taper the thumb a little bit more because I want it a little more tapered. You don't have to do this at all. This is just my personal preference. And then I need to take it in the side a little bit. I think this one you don't have to worry as much about over filing. It's not as, oops, I dropped it. Because they're thicker, they're not as easy to over file. I mean, you still want to be careful, but I didn't want to take in the side a little bit because I did have to size up. So see, that fits perfectly. And I made it a little more tapered to get more of that almond shape that I want. So that is perfect. So I just want to round out a little bit at the free edge in case there's that little tab. And then let me make sure. Yeah, I don't have to do any cuticle work. That's nice. Let me check here. Perfect. That's exciting. That's one plus for me. I mean, obviously everyone's cuticle lines are different, but for me, if I don't have to do the shaping, not that it takes long, but you know what? I think this is just a little too wide. So I'm just going to take it in just slightly to make it a little bit narrower. And then, yep. Perfect. The last thing I'm going to do is for that little bit of, not that I did any much filing at all, except for my thumb, I'm going to take a buffer block to remove that excess plastic because it creates like these white bits, like curling, and the buffer block is really good. See what I mean by like the curled plastic piece? The buffer block is really good for smoothing that out, removing it. So I like to go in once I'm done filing with a buffer block and just smooth everything out, just like that. I don't think I did anything to here except the cuticle area. So, I mean, the free edge. So I'm just going to smooth out that free edge to make sure I didn't create any sharp edges or anything with the file. And then I did do a little bit here. So that's all. And then just make sure to remove the excess dust. You don't want the dust in there because that's going to impact your adhesion. Ooh, these are staticky. I don't want to wipe them with alcohol because it'll make the tips foggy, which once you have gel on it, it's going to make them clear again. But it will make your tips cloudy if you wipe them down with alcohol. Just keep that in mind. You totally can, and gel will make it clear again, but they will look cloudy if you don't put gel on top. So these are the tips all prepped and ready. Let me prep my nails and then I'll hop back on and we will do the application together. Okay, so I went ahead and prepped and I applied peel base to my nails. You probably don't want peel base. I just need to do it for content so I can create more content. So pretend I don't have peel base on my nails and I'm going to walk you through the process minus the peel base. So what I'm going to be using to adhere the full coverage tips is the Pro Gel base. It comes in the bottle form. It also comes in a click pen form, like you think of like a cuticle oil pen. It comes in that as well. I'm going to use the bottle. So before I apply the tips, what I'm going to do is apply a layer of gel base on all my nails first. So regardless, I'm going to apply a layer of gel base. Instead of gel base, I am going to use the Pro Gel base because it is still a gel base coat. So you can use it or you can use a regular gel base. So for the Pro Gel base, it is a little bit thicker than your base gel, but it's thinner than a builder gel. So it's kind of that in-between consistency. So you can see kind of the thickness here of it dripping. So it's not super thick. I usually like a little bit thicker, but it is thicker than your gel base coat. So you can use this in place of your gel base coat as long as you're okay with the thickness. So I'm going to do my thumb separately. So I'm going to apply a thin, even layer of the Pro Gel base. I don't want too much base on my entire nail, and that's going to help with longevity. I find regardless of whether a company says apply gel base first or not, I think it's a good idea to apply gel base. And if you struggle with pop-offs, you probably want to apply a primer first too. Primer will not play nicely with my peel base, so I'm going to skip the primer part, but you can apply primer, let it dry. You can do a second layer if you choose and let that dry. It's an air dry, and then you can go in with your gel base coat. iGel does also have a primer, and so I'm going to go ahead, flash cure that. I like to do my thumb separately because I want it to sit upright in the lamp. I don't want to have it sideways and have it bleed into my sidewall. So it's just going to be a quick flash cure to make sure it doesn't move on me when I do the rest of my hand. So that's flash cured enough. So I'm going to do the rest of my hand. And while I'm doing that, let's have a little bit of a conversation because I do also want to call out, I need to talk and do this. I want to call out that I am not a nail tech. I am a DIYer. I do this, I kind of learn from watching others. I learn from the experts and the professionals. So I'm just sharing what I learned and what works best for me. But I will say safety is important. So I'm wearing a glove on my other hand. So in case I have any excess gel, I'm not exposing my other hand to the excess gel because you want to be really careful when you're working with gels. The other thing I will say is the iGel Beauty products, they are not HEMA free. None of their products are HEMA free. So if you have a sensitivity or an allergy to HEMA, which it's not the only thing you can be allergic to, keep in mind as well. But if you have a known sensitivity allergy to HEMA, you probably don't want to use these products because they do contain HEMA. I want to make sure I call that out as well. So I'm just going ahead, continuing on. Just, make sure you're being safe with your gels. Don't like apply it everywhere and, be careless with your gels. You want to be really careful. So that's why I'm going a little bit slower with my gel base because I want to make sure that I'm not touching my skin. But, it's not only about skin contact depending on the state of your nails. If they're super thin and weak, the gels can also seep into and soak into your nails and cause like allergies. So it's not, even though, yes, you want to be careful about gels touching your skin, definitely. However, it's not just about that. It could also absorb into your nails depending on like your state of them, the weakness of them. So you have to be careful there as well. So I'm just finishing up and then we can get into the exciting part of trying on these tips. And I know a lot of times you want to see about longevity, but I just have so much content to do that I always have to wear a peel base. So I'm going to cure this for a full 60 seconds. Okay, I've got my gel base cured. So now we're going to try out this lamp. So I did confirm, even though I'm wearing a glove, let me show you, it does still work. So that's nice that the touch still works even with the glove on. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start with my thumb. So for the Pro Gel base, I'm going to apply a thin layer anywhere where it's going to touch my nail, my natural nail. So basically where I etched, I'm applying a thin layer of that Pro Gel base. You always want to start with a thin layer first on the entire surface. And then I don't want too much. For the excess gel on the brush, I'm going to scrape at the cuticle area to let that pool in there. And so hopefully this will be enough. And this is thinner, so this is going to be trial and error for me because when you apply the tip, you're going to start at your cuticle area and then start pressing downwards towards your free edge. You don't want to just plop it down on your nail. You want to apply it at an angle starting at your cuticle and then press downwards. And as you press downwards, this excess gel that I have is going to start flowing down because you're going to watch it hit your cuticle area, your free edge. And once it hits your free edge, flash cure it. That's where this lamp comes in handy because it's really hard to like hold a tip and put your hand under a lamp. It doesn't really fit well. So we're going to see if I have enough gel, and it was pooling because I was talking too much. It goes a little bit quicker, so that's why I'm trying to explain it before I do it because it's hard to explain as you're doing it because it goes so quickly. So free edge, you can see I've got it at an angle. You see that gel. I'm going to press it downwards. You see that gel flowing towards the free edge. Once it hits the free edge, I'm going to hit that. Uh-oh. And flash cure. And you know what? I missed part of that cuticle area. It's been a while since I've used the Pro Gel base for full coverage tips. So this is definitely going to be trial and error for me because I'm used to working with thicker gels. So it's okay though, because I'm wearing peel base. I don't have to really worry about it. However, if you're wearing tips for longevity, you don't want to keep those air bubbles because that moisture can get trapped in there. You'll get a greenie. Be really careful. But because I'm wearing peel base, I won't be wearing these tips for a long time. I'm just going to leave it. But please, please be very careful. And, you don't want to trap moisture in your tips because you don't want a greenie. So let's try this again. My thumb is always my trouble nail anyway. So hopefully it'll get better with the rest of the nails. But let's see. So we're going to apply a thin layer anywhere where the tip is going to touch my nail bed. Always start with that first. And then the excess gel, I'm going to scrape in at the cuticle area. And then for application, I'm going to start at my cuticle area and then press downwards towards my free edge. Don't apply too much pressure. Once it hits there, flash cure. I keep accidentally touching this. I'm gonna have to get used to this lamp, but once I get used to it, I'm gonna love it, but I keep accidentally touching it. I am happy. I do prefer the touch though. It's a really nice feature. Okay, that should be enough. Got a little bit of seepage. I wonder, it may not be cured. Because my finger might have been, it's cured. That's fine. Not the prettiest, but bear with me. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking and let you watch me do the rest of these. Okay, I've got them all on. At this point, they're only flash cured. So make sure you put your hand in a full size lamp for a full 60 seconds to fully cure them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm now fully cured, loving the way these are looking. I do need to do a little bit of cleanup. So like on my pinky, I have just a little bit of spillage. It's trial and error. So I'm once again going to use my e-file, and I've got this, I can't remember the name of the bit. It's a medium grit like safety bit from iGel Beauty. I'll link it down below in the description, but I'm just going to do it on a really low RPM, and I'm going to clean up any spillage as well as kind of blend in a little bit more. So I'll probably do like 5,000 RPM should be plenty. So I'm just going to go around and blend in a little bit, and then if there's any excess spillage, that'll clean that up as well. I don't want to go too crazy. I'll buff the surface of them to remove the shine because we're going to do some gel polish on top. But I will go a little bit at the cuticle area just to blend it a little bit more because you want it to look natural. Although I think it does look really natural. I love the way these tips look on. I think it's really only, yeah, I think it's really only the pinky where I have that spillage. However, I will say you did see me struggle with my ring finger. I always struggle with my ring finger because that's my flattest nail. So I'm always afraid I'm going to have too much gel and then I don't have enough and then I have to try again and then I make a giant mess, which you saw. So that's a known. Like that's always been my trouble nail. But we got it in the end. Yeah. Hey, if one small air bubble in my thumb and then a little bit spillage on my pinky is all I have, I'd say it's a success. I mean, obviously, I'd prefer no spillage, but could have been much worse. Okay. Ooh, these are pretty. I really love the shape of them. I feel like they don't feel as long as the Pro Gel Medium Almond. I kind of really love this length. I think this is the perfect wearable length for me. Okay, anyway, because I'm going to do gel polish, I'm just going to buff the shine off. I could use this, but I don't have a sanding band right now, a large sanding band, and I'm afraid I don't want to use this and take off too much of the tip, so I'd rather just do a quick buff on top just to play it safe. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just removing the shine of my tips so that the gel polish would adhere to it. There, that quick. Quick dust off. And now we're ready to go in with our gel polish color. Let me move my stuff out of the way first, though. So the question now will be, what color do I use? So I put a post on here on YouTube to ask you swatches. Like I had swatches and I asked you what color should I do. I had 3 votes and it was one of each color. So I still don't know what to do. So their colors come in duo. So you get the gel polish and then the lacquer comes in the clear bottle. The lacquer is like the air dry nail polish. So here's my dilemma, and I wish you could tell me. Pink is, I'm running out of chances to do Summer Manny, so it's a really great neon pink summer color. Blue is, just look at that glitter of the blue. It is so, so gorgeous. And then this one, it is such a beautiful, beautiful fall color. And I love this color so much. I am torn because I don't think they go well together. So I don't think I can do them together. You know what? Let's go glitter. When all else fails, go glitter. So this is from the Rosé collection. This is R150 Nights in Space. And sorry, the vacuums are going again if you can hear that in the background. But just look at that beautiful glitter. Hopefully the light isn't hindering it and you can see that beautiful glitter. I mean, this is so, so gorgeous. So we're going to go straight in and apply this beautiful color. Look at that. It isn't 1 coat coverage, but that swatch was 2 coats. So for my cuticle area and sidewalls, to get a little bit closer, I'm just going to take my liner brush, because I don't want to use the brush to get closer, because then I will hit my skin. And if it's a little uneven, don't worry about it, because, you know what? We're going to use the same palette. Flash cure. I changed my mind. Let's go ahead and finish off my thumb. So we're going to do a second layer. For some reason, this brush is so thick. I don't prefer this brush. I like a thinner brush. So I'm going to cap my free edge so I can get the color at the free edge. I feel like my other rosé colors don't have this big fat brush in it. I'm not a fan of it, I'll be honest. I'm a fan of this color, however, but this brush, do not like it. Full coverage, 2 layers. Okay, all my nails are painted and top coated. How stunning is this glitter? I am obsessed. But of course, you know I have to finish off every mani with my cuticle oil. So this is my Scales of a Mermaid cuticle oil. This is the scent Etoile Go. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I love this because it's like a light cucumber melon type scent. And of course, I do have an affiliate code with Scales of a Mermaid. So you can always use code Genie10 to save 10% off your orders. But you know, with all like the filing and buffing and everything that I did, I always want to make sure that I am rehydrating my skin, just because it gets so dry with all that work I do to my nails. So I don't want like pretty nails and then like ashy skin. So I always want to make sure that I'm rehydrating with my cuticle oil. And you know that Scales of a Mermaid is my absolute favorite. So here we are. These tips are absolutely beautiful. I love the way they look on. I love this color. What do we think? Any thoughts on these tips? Any thoughts on this color? Oh, by the way, I should mention, I don't know how long this promo is going on. So I'll caveat with, I don't know how long the promo is going on. However, for the Pro X Mini lamp, they currently do have a promo going where if you buy either a Hybrid Pro 2.0 or a Hybrid Pro 3.0 lamp, the full-size lamps, or if you buy 10 boxes of the Pro X tips, you do get a free Pro X Mini lamp. Otherwise, I should have looked up how much it costs on the website. Maybe like $80. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I don't know what the price is. So I did want to call that out, that there is that promo going on if you were buying a big size lamp anyway, or if you wanted to stock up on tips, because I think that's a really great deal. But anyway, I hope this video is helpful. Let me know, did you like seeing the comparison of like the Pro Gel tips versus the Pro X tips, and then like the different sizes or the different shapes to see like what the differences are? That was definitely something I'm trying out. So let me know what you think of that. But hopefully this video is helpful. And if it was, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this. And it also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.